Okay, I think my screen is now visible. Okay. Yeah, whether screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So in the probability part, the books are Probability and Statistics for Engineering Sciences by Devor, and Probability and Statistics in Engineering by Heinz, ETL, Introduction to Probability and Statistics by Milton Arnold. So these are the books for probability. And for stochastic process, the books are Introduction to Probability Models by S.M. Ross, Stochastic Process by S.M. Ross, Probability Statistics and Queuing Theory by Arnold, O.L., and Introduction to Stochastic Modeling by Pinsky and Carlin. And if the time permits, we will do some stochastic calculus, that is stochastic calculus in finance by Shreve. Okay, so you know the timing, etc. In the email, I have written the timing, that is Wednesday 11 to 12, Thursday 12 to 1, Friday 8 to 9. Okay, so this is the time slot which is allotted to us by timetable committee. Okay, so let us start with the some introduction to probability. So in reliability computation of R out of N system, so what is R out of N system? Which functions if at least R, which functions which if at least R out of N component of the system functions. Okay, that is R out of N system. So if at least R out of its N component functions. Series and parallel system are N out of N system and 1 out of N system. So for example, series system, this is series system. So this will function if all of its component functions. Okay, N out of N component functions. And similarly parallel, this is series, parallel is this will function if at least one component will function. Okay, so therefore this is 1 out of N system. So consider a situation where redundant component or spare is provided to increase its reliability. Then using probability concepts, we can find increase in reliability of the system. So this is the one of the applications, and many applications are there of the probability. So this is in reliability theory. So let us define what is a random experiment. So random experiment is an experiment whose outcome may not be predicted in advance. For example, we toss a coin, then sample, then outcome can be head or tail. Okay, so we cannot predict in advance. We toss a coin till we get a head. So that, okay, and then what is sample space? Is a collection of all possible outcomes of random experiment. So for example, if we toss a coin, then sample space is head comma tail. If we toss a coin till we get a head, then sample space is head comma tail head, comma tail head. So this is the collection of all possible outcomes of random experiment. So similarly, we can see that it can be discrete, continuous. Okay. It can be countable or uncountable also. Okay. So therefore, this is the random experiment sample space. Okay. Now, event is a subset of sample space. Event is denoted by capital letter. So, for example, in event even in sample in our random experiment even, we toss a coin. Event is the toss yield by, for example, A1 is head. So this is an event. Similarly, in the second one, E2, where we are tossing the coin till we get a head. So getting a head in the third toss may be an event. Okay. Similarly, E5 is roll a pair of dice and see the up face. So I comma j, that means 1 1 1 comma 1 2 comma 1 3 and so on. In the last it can be 6 comma 6 because we are rolling the two dice. Okay, so therefore we will get either 1 comma 1 1 comma 2 1 comma 3 and so on up to 6 comma 6. So therefore our event can be, for example, 1 comma 3 2 comma 2 3 comma 1. So this is sum on the number on that up face is 4. Okay, so this can be like this. So if A1 A2 are events in omega, the events A1 A2 are mutually exclusive, then their unions is also an event.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, shouldn't we also say that they should be exhaustive as well?
Why exhaustive? No need for exhaustive here. Exhaustive means covering whole of the sample space.
Yes, sir. So in this, we have taken union of all the mutually exclusive events. Okay,
Yeah, so
so
you can take for example i's from 1 to n also. AI, that also is some subset of omega. Okay, that also you can take. Okay, so now we define the sigma field. Suppose E is an experiment with sample space as omega. Okay, so our experiment is E, sample space is omega. F is a collection of subsets of omega. Okay, so F is some collection of subsets of omega. Then F is said to be sigma field if omega belongs to F. If some event belongs to F, then its complement should belong to F. And if A1, A2 belongs to F, then their union should belongs to F. Then we say that F is a sigma field. So let us take an example. For example, we toss a coin, we get sample space as H comma T. Then F1, which is phi, H, T, and omega. This is the power set and is a sigma field. Why? Because, for example, phi belongs to omega F1, then its complement also belongs to F. Because complement of phi will be omega in the sample space. Okay, so therefore our omega belongs to F. If some event belongs to F, then its complement also belongs to F. For example, H belongs, its complement in omega is tail in omega, because we are taking the omega as this. So this is tail. Okay, similarly their unions also belongs to omega. Okay, so therefore this is a sigma field. F2, which is omega comma phi, is a trivial sigma field. This is also sigma field, but it is a trivial, known as the trivial sigma field. Another experiment you can take, toss a coin, 2 coins, then we get head, 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 tail, tail, head, tail, tail. This is the sample space. Then trivial sigma field will be phi comma omega, and you can take the power set. So power set will contain all the possible subsets, which will be phi, ht, hh separately, ht separately, th separately, tt separately. Then all the two possible cases, hh comma ht, then hh comma th, whatever two possible cases, then that you write down. Okay, then in all the possible three cases, then last one is the omega, which is all the possible four cases. Okay, so instead of this, we can also define as phi, h, h, ht, th, tt, omega. So whether this is a sigma field in 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 this omega in the second example.
No, sir.
Why?
Because
Sir, because union of HH, HT and THTT is not present.
Why not present? That is omega. Omega is this, na?
Okay, sir.
yes.
So that is a sigma field.
Sir, hello, sir.
Yes, yes, yes.
Sir, is there a difference between trivial sigma field and and only a sigma field? Like, is there any difference or both of them are same?
I am defining the here. That is trivial sigma field is there. That is a sigma field, and other sigma fields also you can define. Trivial sigma field is a particular is a sigma field, and other sigma fields also we can define. So can you define let us f some f4 which is not a sigma field? For example, I define phi hh HHHT.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, could you please once again define sigma field and power set?
Power set is basically sigma field is basically containing these having these properties. Experiment is there. Corresponding sample space is there. F is collection of subsets of omega. Okay. F is collection of subsets of omega. Okay. So then F is said to be sigma field if omega belongs to F, A belongs to F, then its complement belongs to F. A1, A2 belongs to F, then their union belongs to F. Okay.
Okay, so we have to check the conditions every time.
Conditions you have to check. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
So that conditions I have to check. So power set is the set is all possible subsets which are possible. That is the power set. Trivial sigma field is only phi and omega. That is always remain a sigma field. Okay. So similarly, I can define like that. For example, this thing. For example, HH is there. Its complement is not there. So this is not a sigma field here. Okay. So this is not a sigma field in this case. So you can define sigma field and in this fashion. Okay. Now, how we define probability? Consider a random experiment E having a sample space omega. F is some sigma field of subsets of omega. Usually we take power set. Consider what this can be. F is a sigma field of subsets of omega. Consider an event A defined on F. Then P of A is a real number called a probability of event A if it satisfies following axioms. P of omega is 1, omega belongs to F. Probability of A is greater than or equal to 0, A belongs to F. And if A1, A2, A2 and so on are mutually exclusive and are in F, then okay, that means nothing is common between them. Nothing is common between them. That is the mutually exclusive. Nothing is common between them. Then the probability of union of AIs is summation of probability of AI. So that is the definition of probability. That is the mathematical definition of probability. Now, how to assign the probabilities? Assignment of probabilities done on the basis of prior experience or prior observations, analysis of the experimental condition, and assumptions. What is the relative frequency approximation? So relative frequency is the number of times the experiment A occurs divided by total number of times experiment was done. And if we take the limit of that, for large number of trial, the approximate probability obtains is quite near to the exact probability. The disadvantage with this approach is that the experiment should be repeated and not a one-off situation. So for example, you consider this. Suppose we are considering proportion of persons in a population who live more than 65 years. So persons which live more than 65 years and which is less than 65 years, we denote by B. So we want to find the probability of A. So we will do the experiment. Let us say that experiment was conducted and we get A, B, B, B. So in this fashion, we get a out of the experiment the events. Now, an by n, A is the number of favorable cases to A. Okay, because we want to find out the probability of A. Okay, so here this will be 1 by 1 because one time experiment was done. Here this was 2 by 2. Here this is 2 by 3 because only 2 times out of 3, 2 times we get A. Similarly, here this is 3 by 4. Here this is 4 by 5. Here this is 4 by 6. Here this is 5 by 7. Here this is 6 by 8. Here this is 6 by 9. Now we can represent this an by n as if we take, let us say, k is equal to 1 here. So that means n, for example, n is equal to 3. So then we get 2 by 3. And when we take k is equal to 2, then we get 6. That means this we can represent as 2k by 3k. Similarly, other values you can see. Similarly, when n is 3k minus 1, that means we take k as 1. That means n is equal to 2. Okay, and n is equal to 4. That means 5. So this value and 5. Then you can see that this value is 2k upon 3k minus 1. Okay, and similarly, when n is equal to, when we take k as 1, then we get n is equal to 1, this value, and when k is 2, 6 minus 2, 4, this value, then we will get, we can write down these values as 2k minus 1 divided by 3k minus 2. Okay, then take the limit as n goes to infinity, that means k goes to infinity. From here you will get 2 by 3. From here you can write down 2 upon 3 minus 1 by k. When k goes to infinity, this will be 2 by 3. And similarly, this value we will get as again 2 by 3. Okay, so in this fashion we can get down the answer as 2 by 3. Okay, so this is the value here. So therefore, this is the assignment of probability due to relative frequency definition of probability. So in this fashion, we can do the assignment to the probability. And after that, we can apply the mathematical definition also, which we have defined as this is the mathematical definition of probability. And assignment also, we see how to do the assignment. Classical definition is, here we assume that the possible outcomes of random experiment are equally likely and their total number is finite. Then probability of A is number of favorable cases to event A divided by number of cases in omega. So this is the classical method to assign the probability. Simple consequence of axioms. So consider the experiment E on omega comma f, because some experiment E is there, corresponding sample space is omega, corresponding collection of subsets of omega is f, which is the sigma field. Then probability of phi will be 0. And if A and B are two events in F, then probability of A union B is probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A intersection B. So this is also easy. Let us see that. So probability of phi is 0. So because we know that phi union
Sir,
omega, yes.
so like if two events are mutually exclusive in F, they should also be mutually exclusive in omega, right? Like the main set, or like it will, or will it not be mutually exclusive?
F is basically collection of subsets of omega. Omega is basically collection of whatever the experiment we can do. That is basically omega. For example, we are doing the tossing the coin. This is h comma t. F can be, we can write down as phi h t omega. This is the F. So what is the need of F? What is the need of this? Need of this is basically whatever you can think of on omega, the event will come from here. Whatever you can think of doing on omega, event will come from here.
So like in the earlier theorem, where there was F, the F was actually power set, right then?
You
Or-
can take or you may not take. F can be other also, depending on. But usually we take powers. Usually we take, but that is not the necessity. Depending on the experiment.
Like if two events are mutually exclusive in F, will they also be mutually exclusive in omega, or like?
But omega doesn't have that now. Omega, for example, is one. For example, here is this omega is this. Omega is basically, for example, it may be 0 to infinity cross 0 to infinity like that. It may be like that. But event experiment may be like this 1 comma 2 cross 2 comma 3. Okay, so what that doesn't make any sense now. This, for example, 3 comma 4 comma 4 comma 6. For example, these are the events in omega. So how this is some f is some containing some subsets of omega. So whatever you are saying, that makes sense in F. Not in omega, because omega is basically only one thing, na, like that. Okay, now phi belongs to, probability of phi is equal to 0. Phi belongs to F. Nothing is there. So phi union omega is omega. Omega belongs to F. They're applying probability on both sides. Probability of phi union omega is probability of omega. Because using axiom 3, because phi and omega are mutually exclusive. Nothing is common. So therefore probability of A1 union A2 is equal to probability of A1 plus probability of A2 if A1 A2 are mutually exclusive. That is, nothing is common. So that is probability of phi plus probability of omega. So probability of phi will be 0 then. Okay. Similarly, it can easily be shown that probability of A plus probability of A complement. A complement means which is outside of A. If this is A, outside of this will be A complement. Then again using this probability of A union A complement is omega, we can show that probability of A plus probability of A complement is 1. Now if A and B are events, A and B belongs to F, then probability of A union B is equal to probability of A plus probability of minus probability of A intersection B. Now you can see that A union B can be written as A union B is basically can be written as this portion A and this portion which is B minus A, and B can be written as this is B here, this can be written as this portion A intersection B and this portion B minus A. Now why we are using this? Because we want to apply the third axiom of probability, because if events are mutually exclusive, then probability of A1 union A2 is probability of A1 plus probability of A2. So apply probability here. So we will get probability of A union B minus A. So this will be probability of A plus probability of B minus A. Similarly here, this will be probability of B is probability of A intersection B plus probability of B minus A. Why? Because both of them are mutually exclusive. So putting this value back here, we will get probability of A union B is probability of A plus probability of B minus probability of A intersection B. Okay, so this is the case. Okay, now, so in the same fashion, we can easily show the third axiom. This is a simple consequences. Okay, and this is AI belongs to F. Then in the same fashion, we can write down this is as probability of union AI is as in this format also. Okay, so this is the simple consequence of axioms. Okay, let us take a simple example. Suppose we are rolling two fair dice independently. We want to find the probability that sum of faces up is 7. So because we are rolling two fair dice independently, that is the experiment. Can anyone tell what will be the sample space?
Thirty-six possible cases.
Yeah, so if you write down mathematically, so you can write down omega as I comma j, where I is 1 to 6, j is 1 to
So your voice.
Sir, your voice is
6,
getting
comma 1
phoned
3,
out.
comma 6, comma 6, so 36 possible cases.
Excuse me, sir.
Pardon? Not audible.
Hello.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, your voice is not audible properly. It's cracking a bit.
So it's distorted.
Okay. Now it's okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So when you have to talk, then you unmute. Otherwise, you mute yourself. Okay. Okay. So now this is the sample space. Now event, whatever we are interested in this event, sum of the faces up is 7. So what are the favorable cases to A1? 1 comma 6, 6 comma 1, 2 comma 5, 5 comma 2, 3 comma 4, 4 comma 3. These are the 6 favorable cases divided by 36 total number of cases. So this is the 1 by 6 is the probability which we are interested in. Okay, now we are doing the conditional probability. So let omega fp be a probability model. Then the conditional probability of A given B is defined as probability of A intersection B divided by probability of B, where probability of B is greater than 0. So for example, how this is coming? So consider a family having 2 children. Omega is both are boys, girl, boy, boy, girl, girl, girl. Okay. So number of elements in omega is 4. So consider event both children are girl. Then probability of A is 1/4. If some information of the form E, which is at least one of the children is a girl, is known, then the sample space will reduce and the sample space becomes girl, 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 boy, boy, girl, 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 because we know that at least one is a girl. Then the probability of A given E is 1/3, because we are finding the probability that both of the children are girl given that at least one is a girl. So that is 1/3. So therefore, given the relevant information, probability will improve. Previously it was 1/4, now becomes 1/3. So probability of A given is greater than equal to probability of A. So we can write down this like this: probability of number of elements in A intersection E divided by number of elements in E. So this we can divide by number of elements in omega. That becomes probability of A intersection E divided by probability of E, provided probability of E is greater than 0. So in this fashion, this definition will come into the picture. So if this information is irrelevant, let us say some E is given that, let us say now E is given as that number of balls in a bag is red. So then what will be the probability of A given E? Some irrelevant information is given. Isn't it?
It will
Zero.
remain same.
Can you repeat?
Yeah, I'm just saying that some irrelevant information is given. For example, E is the event, E is the information that some bag is there in which some green balls are there. Okay, 2 green balls are there in a bag. So then what will be A given E? That will remains the same 1/4 because information is irrelevant. Okay, so therefore, if relevant information is given, then probability will improve. That's why this equality sign is also there. It may be equal also. A given E is greater than equal to probability of A.
Sir,
So
sir,
yes.
sir, in this in the family question, sir, these two events, GB and BG, they are both the same, right?
This is for just for explanation purpose that this, so you may reduce that also in that fashion also, but you are saying, okay.
Okay.
So a bag contains 5 red, 5 white and 4 blue balls. If someone draws 3 balls one by one without replacement, then what is the probability that 3 balls will be drawn in the sequence red, white, blue? So R1 intersection W2 intersection B3. So using conditional probability, so this we can take W2 given R1 as one event. So this becomes B3 given W2 intersection R1 into probability of W2 given R1. Now that again applying the definition of conditional probability, that becomes W2 given R1 into probability of R1. So therefore this can be written as probability of R1, probability of W2 given R1, probability of B3 given W2 intersection R1. So this is the first, this is without replacement. That means we are choosing the ball, throwing that away. So 5 by 14. Now one ball is away, remaining balls are 13. What is the probability that second white ball is drawn, given that red one is already drawn? That will be 5 by 13. Similarly, in the third one, blue ball is drawn, given that white and red ball are already drawn. That means 4 by 12. So here R1, W2, B3 are dependent events. If we do this with the replacement, then it doesn't make any. So we can write down probability of R1 into probability W2, probability of B3. So that means 5 by 14, 5 by 14, 4 by 14. So then this is with replacement. Now, two events are independent if occurrence of one doesn't affect the occurrence or non-occurrence of the other. So that is the same thing. If probability of A given B is probability of A, the same thing we are talking about, that if B is irrelevant to A, then probability of A given B is probability of A, and this can be written as probability of A intersection B divided by probability of B is equal to probability of A by definition of conditional probability. So therefore probability of A intersection B is probability of A into probability of B. So using that, divide here by probability of A, you will get probability of B given A is equal to probability of B. So this is the definition of independence. If probability of A given B is the probability of A and probability of B given A is equal to probability of B, that means this is the same thing as probability of A intersection B is equal to probability of A into probability of B. So we can show that if probability of, if A and B are independent, then A and B bar are independent. B bar is basically complement of B. Complement of B, that means outside of B in the sample space. If A and B are independent, then A complement and B are independent. If A and B are independent, then A complement and B complement are independent. Okay, so this okay, so this can be shown easily. So that okay, so now next is events A1, A2, AN are mutually independent if and only if the probability of intersection of any 2, 3, n of these sets is a product of their respective probabilities. That means if A1, A2, AN are mutually independent, then let us say A1, A2, A3 are there. Then they are mutually independent if probability of A1 intersection A2 is probability of A1 into probability of A2. Probability of A1 intersection A3 is probability of A1 into probability of A3. Whatever the two possible cases and whatever the three possible cases. Probability of A1 intersection A2 intersection A3 is probability of A1 into probability of A2 into probability of A3. Okay. And they are said to be mutually independent in three cases. If we take n, then whatever all the possible cases, 2 cases, 3 cases, 4 cases, up to n cases. And they are said to be pairwise independent if only for 2 it happens. So whether events are mutually independent, whether they are pairwise independent also. Events are mutually independent. Question is whether they are pairwise independent also.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is
Yes,
clear
sir.
that they are pairwise independent also. Because
Yes.
pairwise independent is only this case. Okay. But whether A1, A2, AN are pairwise independent, they are mutually independent also.
No, sir.
No, sir.
They may, you can say like that, they may or may not be. Okay, they may or may not be, because it may happen. For particular example, it may happen, but particular example, it may not happen. So you can say that it may or may not be. Okay. So if they are mutually independent, they are clearly pairwise independent. If they are pairwise independent, they may or may not be. May or may not be mutually independent. So consider the following electronic system which shows the probability of system components operating properly. That is the reliability of the component. Assume that each component operates independently. Find the system reliability. So you have given this system. So there you have to find the system reliability, assuming that the components are mutually independent. Now, because you can see that if I take this some event A, okay, this event as A2, this is probability of A2 is 0.7. So this is probability of this happens or this happens, this and this. Okay, so that means this is probability of A1 into probability of A2 because they are mutually independent. That means this value into whatever this value probability of this into 0.7, because both of them should operate to work this system, this and this. Okay, let us say this is E1, this is E2. So now probability of A1 is this happens
Hello,
or
sir.
this happens. Yes.
Sir, what is system reliability here? I can't get that.
System reliability is basically means that for this system, basically, what will be the probability that this system will operate? What is the value of that?
Okay.
Okay, so I am saying that this you denote by event A1, this is event A2. So this is probability of A1 is 0.7, probability of A1 we have to determine. So this is probability of A1 because these both A1 and A2 are in series. So this and this A1 and A2 will operate, then this system will operate. So A1 intersection A2. So this will be probability of A1 into probability of A2, because both of them are mutually, components are mutually independent. Now this is 0.7. Now to find out this probability of A1, which is probability of, let us say this is E1, E2. This is probability of E1 is 0.9, probability of E2 is 0.8. So this happens. So probability of now probability of A1 is probability of A1 E1 union E2. If E1 happens or E2 happens, then system will this subsystem will operate. Subsystem A1 will operate. So this will be 1 minus probability of E1 union E2 complement, because we know that probability of A plus probability of A complement is 1. So therefore this will be 1 minus probability of E1 complement intersection E2 complement. So this will be 1 minus probability of E1 complement, probability of E2 complement, because if E1 and E2 are independent, then their complement are also independent. That just we have just seen that thing here. Okay, so using that we can write down this value as 1 minus probability of E1 into 1 minus probability of E2. Okay, so that is nothing but this value, probability of A1. The probability of A1 is this 1 minus 0.9, 1 minus 0.8 into 0.7. So therefore this is 0.686. That means what is the probability that entire system will operate? That reliability is 0.686. Only thing we need is the, assuming that the components are mutually independent, only thing we need is the components reliability. That means what is the probability that component will operate? Okay, now theorem of total probability. Events A1, A2 are mutually, E1, E2, En are mutually exclusive and exhaustive, and A is the caused by happening of E1, E2, En. Then probability of A is summation probability of A given EI into probability of EI. So that means events are mutually exclusive. So this is using the definition of conditional probability. One can easily find out probability of A. These are E1, E2, E3, and En. Some event A is there. So we will just write down probability of A will be probability of A intersection E1 union A intersection E2, and whatever possible cases are there, A intersection E3 and so on, A intersection En. Okay, then that can be written, because all of them are mutually exclusive also, because even E2 En are mutually exclusive. Therefore probability of A is probability of union of i's from 1 to n A intersection EI. But they are mutually exclusive also, because E1, E2 are mutually exclusive and exhaustive. Therefore this is summation i's from 1 to n probability of A intersection EI by the definition of probability. So therefore this is using this is probability of conditional probability of EI. So in this fashion we can write down this theorem of total probability. Next is the Bayes theorem. Events E1, E2, En mutually exclusive and exhaustive, and event A is caused by happening of E1, E2, En, then probability of EI given A is probability of A given EI, probability of EI divided by summation J is from 1 to n, probability of A given EJ, probability of EJ. So this is also easy. Probability of EI given A by this can be written as probability of A intersection EI, probability of A. So therefore this can be written as probability of A given EI, probability of EI, and probability of A. And this probability of A you write down using theorem of total probability. Okay, so you will get this answer. So as a simple example, we can write down in a town, there are 200 car drivers, 500 two-wheeler drivers, 20 bus drivers. There is a probability 0.01, 0.03, 0.15 respectively for an accident involving car, two-wheeler and bus. One of the driver meets with an accident. What is the probability that she was driving a car? A, B, C denote the events that the chosen driver drives a car, two-wheeler or a bus respectively. The event A denotes the accident. Probability of A that involves a car, so 200 divided by 200 plus 500 plus 20, 20 by 72. Similarly, probability of B you can find out involving two-wheeler. Probability of C involving a bus. Okay, so probability of E given A. E is the E happens an accident. Happens an accident given that car was involved, 0.01. So this happens 0.01. In section B, 0.03. In section C, 0.15. Now using the Bayes theorem, A given E is probability of A, probability E given A, divided by probability of A, probability of E given A, plus probability of B, probability of E given B, probability of C, probability of E given C. So using that, we will get answer as 0.1. So this is an application of Bayes theorem here. Let us stop here.